Hi, I'm Kate Bryer. I am the Associate Artistic Director at Imagination Stage and the Director of Theater for the Very Young. I have been here a really long time. I think it's actually 33 years, because I started in 1990. Imagination Stage was tiny. It wasn't actually Imagination Stage at the time. It was the Bethesda Academy of Performing Arts. And we were located at the Whittier Woods Elementary School, which was an old elementary school right next to Walt Whitman High School. And we literally all fit into one little room, the entire staff. It was like 6 people. And then we expanded to a second room in that elementary school. And that's where we did everything. We did all of our shows there. We taught all our classes there. We had some summer camps at American University and also at the Landon School. But for the most part, that little elementary school is where it all happened. And then legend has it that Bonnie went to, I actually came in asking, when I first started, Bethesda Academy of Performing Arts was solely focused on education for kids, theater education. And I met Bonnie and I was teaching classes and she said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, actually, what I really want to do is I want to start a professional children's theater." And she said, "Oh, well, we could make that happen." I said, "Can I put together a little touring company and we'll go around to schools, we'll have adults performing for kids, and we'll take it into the school system?" And she said, "Sure." Because she was really naive and she didn't know you lose a lot of money when you do theater. You actually make money when you're doing classes, but you lose money when you do theater. So I started this little touring company and we went around Montgomery County performing a show. And then Bonnie read about the Coterie in Kansas City, which is a children's theater that started in a mall. And she knew that White Flint was going out of business, and so she went to White Flint and she said, "Can we just have a storefront?" And we have this little touring show. It was called The Nightingale, based on a Hans Christian Andersen story. And we could just, put the kids on the floor and just have some people performing for them. And that's how it all started, with that little tiny performance. And we just expanded out from there. And then Bonnie's dream, of course, to have this beautiful building. In my mind, we're the premier children's theater, certainly on the eastern coast of the United States, and we've set all kinds of precedents for theater for youth and children's theater literature and material and programming, all kinds of programs, and obviously our Theater for Change, social justice. Our Theater for the Very Young was one of the first programs for theater for babies to be developed in the country. We're a very entrepreneurial, if you will. We're innovative. We come up with the next great idea. We introduce the new sort of things to the field of theater for children and children's theater in this country. I think that Janet is one of the smartest people that I've ever met. I think that she is a dreamer. She has big ideas. And that's been true for her as an artistic director and also as an artist. And as a director, when she comes in to direct a show, she has a big idea, a big concept for that show. Not all directors work that way. I certainly don't work that way. I work in a very different way. And so the two of us were a really good combination for each other, because when I was working on something, she would come in and look at it and give her perspective. And then same with her, she was working on something and I would look at it from a different perspective. And so we're very connected in that way, in a way that we supported each other's work, but also we're very critical of each other's work. We made each other's work, both of our works, better throughout the years. Janet was also about connecting with people. I can't tell you the number of artists throughout the world that Janet would go on these trips to international children's theater festivals or to do different things, and she would just meet these amazing, brilliant people. And all of those people are people that she brought back to do stuff at Imagination Stage. Charlie Way, David Craig, lots of different theaters and theater companies that now are connected with other theater companies in the United States. So she really has created this renaissance in children's theater that is true today and is about really uplifting theater for children in this country. I feel like Janet used to say that as a leader, that you have to have the next great idea, and she used to call it a big, hairy, audacious goal. And she was always looking for the next great idea. I mean, our partnership with the Washington Ballet was because she saw what Septime was doing and she wanted to be a part of that. She didn't know what it was going to be, but she recognized his talent and his interest in children and work for children, and she brought that to put us together in the same room to try to come up with the next great idea, which we did a couple of different times. I think that Janet is very brave. She is not afraid to move forward and try new things, and she's not afraid to fail either, which is also extremely admirable. I think one of her greatest contributions to the world of children's theater in this country has been her dedication to and her knowledge about writers, playwrights. I mean, bringing great writers to this field is really an amazing turnover. When we first started doing this kind of work, there was a lot of plays that were available for theaters to do, but we used to call it fuzzy bunny theater because it just was bad. And I think people felt like they were writing for kids, they could just speak down to children. And I think what Janet brought to the process, starting with playwrights and writers, is the idea that no, everything should be elevated for children. We should give them the best of what we have. And we connected with so many writers who had written for adults and had never written for kids. And we would say to them, that's fine. We actually don't want that. We just want good writers. And so a lot of playwrights who had never written for kids now have whole careers writing for children and youth, which is really exciting. Oh my gosh, I have so many favorite memories, but a lot of them have to do with the work that we did when we were at White Flint, because it was such a time of, we never knew what was going to happen. We were not paying rent at that time. They just gave us the space. So every day it was like, we had no idea whether we would end up staying there. We wanted them to give us a space in the mall, and we tried that sort of avenue, and that didn't work. So we had this little storefront, and we just kept sort of expanding it. I'd come in one day, and Janet had her husband Leo build an office in the back. So we finally had a desk where we could put our computer and do things. She had another group of people come in and build a stage in the storefront when we had been working on carpet. We then discovered that birthday parties were a way to fill the theater. So we went in one night with our sledgehammers and took down all the dressing room walls and plastered the walls and made a birthday party room. So I have lots of those kind of memories, just really standing side by side and creating that space together and just creating something new together. We've been through a lot of tough times. Janet is much more practical, one of the most practical people that I know. I am much more emotional, and I think that, just watching her over the years just do what needed to be done, I really admire that. I think also her aesthetic is something that, and her belief in quality and creating the best theater that we possibly can, using the best designers, the best actors, the best writers for children, is really valuable. I think her respect for children is immense. Facing the pandemic was just such a challenge. And, that happened right as Bonnie was stepping away and Janet was taking over. And Janet did not step away from that. She met it head on, and it was, of course, one of the worst things that's ever happened to all of us as a society, but to theater in general, it was terrifying. It was just a terrifying time, and she kept us all together. She kept us going. She used to tell me that the only way she mentally could deal with it was to go take long walks every single day. She would just go out to Rock Creek Park near where she lived and just walk, and that's the only way she could sort of come back to us with great strength and the next great idea to keep us going. We did a lot of traveling together. We went to a lot of international conferences. We spent 2 weeks in Barcelona together working on a Theater for the Very Young piece. That was a great time. We had a really nice time. We took a designer, person who worked on staff here, who was a lighting designer and was our master electrician, actually. And we just had a great time in Spain working with these artists, learning how they work differently than we work, and developing this piece of theater that we actually brought back here and perform to this day. I feel like Janet's legacy is something that she's left to the entire world of children's theater in this country, and that is a sense of respect and excellence in theater, that we create the best possible theater that we possibly can for children. I think children are so undervalued in this country, from everything from our education system to preschools to everything that we value in this country is so upside down. And I you know, it sounds so cliche to say that children are our future, but they are, and we don't put enough resources into how we take care of the children in this country. And I feel like that's something that Janet has dedicated her life to. Everything from developing the Theater for Change to creating work and demanding work from all of the artists and people that she works with that is of the greatest quality. And I hoped, all these years, I have hoped that that value that she has insisted upon will transfer somehow to the rest of society. I think she gives us all hope that that will happen.